Representative Adam Kinzinger, one of the few Republican lawmakers who's been willing to criticize Donald Trump, has been censured by his own party. And now he's being disowned by his own family members, not just, quietly, but loudly, overtly, through a public letter that was written by his cousin, Karen Otto. Now, they're furious with the fact that Kinzinger has been critical of Donald Trump. And remember, Donald Trump has basically become part and parcel of the Republican Party. If you disagree with him, you will be rejected by the party. And we've seen that with the way lawmakers have been treated after they voted in favor of impeaching Trump. Now, 2 days after Kinzinger called for removing Trump from office following the January 6th riot at the Capitol, 11 members of his family sent him a handwritten 2-page letter saying that he was in cahoots with the devil's army for making a public break with the president. He also, by the way, voted to strip Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments, and they're not too happy with that either. But I'm gonna read you a few excerpts from the letter, which was penned by Karen Otto, his cousin, but again, signed by 11 of his family members. "Oh my, what a disappointment you are to us and to God. You have embarrassed the Kinzinger family name." I don't know, Karen, I think you're doing a pretty good job yourself, gotta be honest, but let me give you more. How do you call yourself a Christian when you join the devil's army believing in abortion? By the way, Adam Kinzinger does not believe in abortion. That is, I don't know where they got that from. He's actually very conservative. "We thought you were smart," and yes, she put smart in quotation marks, "enough to see how the left is brainwashing so many, and then again in quotation marks, so-called good people, including yourself and many other GOP members. President Trump is not perfect, but neither are you or any of us for that matter." And this is my personal favorite line. "It is not for us to judge or be judged, but he is a Christian." Karen, you went out of your way to write this open letter judging your own family member because he disagrees with you politically. You are literally calling for the cancellation of a family member because he disagrees with you politically, and might I add, actually is right on the issues that you disagree with him on, but okay. Let me also note that it wasn't good enough for her to send this letter to him. She also sent copies to Republicans across Illinois, including other members of the state's congressional delegation. And when she was interviewed about why she did this, she said, quote, "I wanted Adam to be shunned." This woman's disgusting. Aida, give her a proper response. The kind of response we can only expect from Aida.
Less Karen and more caring, why don't you? I think it's so funny when I see people speaking their hate, but through the Christian, voice, using the Christianity label. Let me do quotes like her, the Christianity label. To talk about, to be hateful towards other people when we know that, first of all, Donald Trump, saying that at least Donald Trump is a Christian, it's laughable. Donald Trump figures out the hustle, right? He's a good con man, right? He was like, "Oh, these the Jesus people. Let me run the Jesus game on them." He ran the Jesus game on them, right? He went and pushed people, had protesters sprayed and moved out the way so he could hold the Bible in front of a church that he never went to, right? That he wasn't welcome then. It's just so amazing to see people and their lack of information with biblical doctrine and using it and weaponizing it for their own, whatever it is that they want to support. Like, she is anti this cousin because people lost their lives. People were going to get killed. The vice president's life was in danger, who is a Christian. And this man said, "This is not okay." I mean, this is the mentality of the people that there are a lot of them, millions of them in this country that have been misinformed, misguided, emotionally driven, religiously confused about what the Bible is and what it's supposed to mean. Lady, nothing could be further from the truth. First and foremost, there are but 2 commandments in the New Testament, and that is that you're supposed to love your brothers and sisters the way you love Jesus, and you're supposed to love Jesus a lot. That's your job, right? That's your job. That's it. You got those 2 jobs. It's not your job to police other people. It is not other jobs for you to play the role of God. The job is to walk so straight and on the narrow in a way worthy of the calling, that the light shines so bright on you that other people say, I want to be like her. And that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is trying to be God. But the fact that you say that a man who paid off a porn star to have sex with a porn star, right? Who's had 3 wives, has 5 children from different women, who doesn't respect the sanctity of marriage. A man who the Bible says, better you not be born than to mislead my sheep, who misused his power to drive people to a place where people lost their lives, and call yourself a Christian and saying that this is the guy you're rolling with, lets me know that you only use Christianity as an excuse to be hateful, probably racist, because you are upholding white supremacy. And one of the biggest problems in this country. So sit your basic ass down somewhere and stop writing letters, because nobody wants to hear what you're talking about, especially the families of the people, of the man who lost an eye, the men who lost their lives, the men who took their lives because of that collective traumatic event that happened on January 6th. And to sit in a place where you weren't even faced with the danger is just egregious. It is appalling. It is ridiculous. And we should not even be talking about that woman. That woman shouldn't even get a moment of space in anywhere, because she is part of the hateful problem in this country.
Well, I agree with you. And I think it's probably time to move on from her and now focus our ire on Kinzinger himself. And look, if people might think that it's too harsh, especially given the fact that he's been rejected by his own family members, don't worry, he comes from a massive family. 11 of them happened to sign that letter, but his father alone had 32 first cousins. 32, like it's a big family. So he's not completely isolated, and that makes me feel more comfortable expressing how much I disagree with his vision of what the Republican Party should be. Because we can't forget, guys, while a few of these Republican lawmakers finally did the right thing in criticizing Trump or trying to hold him accountable, they still represent the type of ideology that has been so destructive in this country. In fact, Kinzinger himself has created some sort of political action committee to try to shape the Republican Party. And this is what we know from the New York Times. Kinzinger began the political action committee with a 6-minute video declaring the need to reformat the Republican Party into something resembling an idealized version of George W. Bush's party, with an emphasis on lower taxes, hawkish defense, and social conservatism. All the things we hate. There are no good guys in this story, unfortunately.
You know,
there are no good guys.
Think about like if Ilhan decided to speak, and the people around her in her orbit would speak about the things that happen in this land and our laws, and frame them from the perspective of Islam, the people in this country would lose their minds. They would lose their minds. But there's this alleged separation of church and state, right, in this country, alleged. But we are constantly being doused with this Christianity as if it doesn't have a history of oppression, systemic racism, and sexism, and child abuse. Spare the rod, you spoil the child. So many things that have been a problem because people who take that Bible, misinterpret it, and use it to oppress others. But imagine If Mitt Romney was like, well, the Mormon way is this, we constantly have to hear the Christian way, and it isn't even the Christian way by way of what the Bible says. It is their interpretation of the Christian way for their benefit and the oppression of others. And it's tiring, man. People don't want to hear that. That has not been it has not been a vessel of solution for the people in this country.
I have to say, one of the best old school episodes, and old school is one of the shows on the TYT network, for those of you who might not have heard about it, was when Cenk talked to you for almost, I think it was a full hour, about your religious upbringing. And I really highly recommend that people check that out. It was from a few years ago. I think you might have to be a member to get that in our archives. And you can become a member by going to tyt.com/join. You get all sorts of exclusive members only programming. But I thought it was such an enlightening conversation, Aida, about what religion actually teaches you, and specifically like what you learned from the Bible that conservatives in America consistently do the opposite of. And it was just such a great conversation. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the story, but there's a story right now. I think it was in Detroit, where a church erupted in a fight because the pastor was demanding $1,000 offering from the people in the church. And the people were like, we don't have $1,000. And they were like, well, what about 300? And we have an ATM machine. This just happened in the last few days. And a fight erupted. I believe D.L. Hughley just posted it. It is a gross disservice to the people when you take advantage of them because you know that they are struggling and they're broke and they're hurt and they're going through it. And the solution that you give them is to make you rich. And Donald Trump did a version of that. He did a version of that, and it was exploitive and it was abusive to the people who honestly believe that Jesus is the way, the light, and the truth for them. And you take advantage of that. And if you really believe in Christianity, then you need to know that there are consequences for that, because you can't just do that to people. So this is it's just disgusting. It's just gross.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.